Hey, welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm your host, meteorologist Greg Majeski, your trusted weather source, bringing the weather without all that social media hype here on your Wednesday, February 26th, 2025. Let's go and take a look at what we're tracking here for today. We're tracking a couple of cold shots coming in this upcoming weekend over the Great Lakes and into the Northeast. We'll show you the latest on that. And we're still looking at an evolving severe weather pattern going into March. Very progressive one with a very amplified jet stream. I'm going to get into greater detail on that as well. And then we'll talk about, because of that evolving pattern, there's actually an increased chance of snow in the forecast as well. Now, before we get going, we always like to welcome aboard our new subscribers. Again, thank you for coming on board. And if you're not yet a subscriber, please do me the pleasure of going and hitting that subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner. Go hit the notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you appreciate what you see, please leave me a comment down below. Give me a thumbs up. It does help with that almighty YouTube algorithm. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what we're seeing here on the big picture. Satellite imagery here across the country. You got a weak storm system here in the middle of the country, bringing some rains up around the Chicagoland area. We'll take a look at that radar in a second. Out on the West Coast, got a bit of a ridging taking place out here. So all quiet here up and down the West Coast here for today, for this morning. Now, as we take a look at the big picture across the nation, fog here along the Gulf Coast, a little bit up toward Pennsylvania, but here looking all quiet here from coast to coast. But don't get used to it, folks, because I'm telling you, I really think things are going to really pick up going into the month of March. So looking at our current surface map, it's not overly cold. It's some chilly areas, some 20s and 30s in here. Not really that bad. I got rains here around Chicago and up little snows here into Michigan. So West Coast pretty quiet. We'll go ahead and zoom in here and take a look here at near Chicago. You can see some of the heavy rains up near Kenosha, going to be moving in across Lake Michigan and turning into snow. Looks like the snow will be picking up there a little bit with some colder air over toward Michigan here for today. And some of this will be in the form of thunderstorms a little bit further south. And speaking of thunderstorms, we'll go ahead and take a look at that thunderstorm risk here for today. As we are going to be watching that little storm system moving off toward the east, that'll be setting off a few rumbles of thunder, not out of the question here. Going into Pennsylvania, going back into Kentucky. So into that zone here, for this afternoon for your day one outlook. What about your day two? How is it looking? Well, we've got a little bit of thunderstorm activity along that front as it shifts down toward the south. So there's your day two outlook. Kind of goes into the Carolinas and maybe into North Georgia, seeing a few rumbles of thunder. But again, nothing widespread. It'll be very, very isolated along that front. And there's not a day three to show you, so all quiet on that front. Another thing that's going to be quiet is excessive rainfall. We don't have to worry about that for the next several days. So no flooding potential there as we wrap up the work week. So let's go ahead and talk about the model data. We're going to be looking at specifically the jet stream first. That's our river of air that kind of drives our weather across the nation here, okay? And its position really is critical because the position of the jet stream dictates what kind of storm systems you're going to have. The more flattened zonal it is, not going to see that big a change. But when you start seeing those wild fluctuations, then you really got to start paying attention. So what we're going to be looking at here going in for this upcoming week is not looking bad. We got this one cool shot here coming down here. We got a little bit of this cold front here. We're going to see some colder temperatures riding into Friday and into Sunday. So we got two cold shots coming into areas of the Great Lakes and into the Northeast. There's the first one coming in, and then there's the second one coming in. This is going in toward your Saturday and Sunday. So you see this amplified ridging in here. So we get the cold shot coming in here going into Saturday and Sunday. So a couple of cold shots coming in. Then as we're going to turn our attention out here toward the West Coast, we've got a disturbance that's going to be riding on in here as we go into next week. So we're going to watch this little impulse here coming in toward into your Tuesday and Wednesday. That is this dip in the jet stream right through here. You see that little configuration in there. It's not overly strong, not as strong as what I've seen before. So I think we're going to get some severe weather with this. I just believe it's going to be kind of a marginal to slight risk on this. Maybe a few isolated tornadoes, especially along the Gulf Coast, especially where that stronger jet stream energy is as this moves off toward the east. That's going into the 4th and 5th. Then there's another energy that's kind of coming in here behind this with, again, a substantial drop in the jet stream again. Look at this thing. Boom. But we're making a few more thunderstorms back in here again, going toward the 7th and 8th with a big dive of the jet stream there as well as that goes to the south. But look how amplified this pattern stays. Going in toward the 10th, and then we see another big trough coming in here going in on the 12th. So again, with a very active jet stream like this, all these little dips and dives can bring another risk for severe weather. This is going in toward the 12th. Again, have to watch that area of the country for severe weather. So tracking, at least from the jet stream configuration over the next couple of weeks, where we have several opportunities for severe weather. And I think that trend will continue throughout the month of March. So definitely need to be prepared. We're moving into that time of year. Now let's go and take a look at your High resolution data, we're going to be looking at the short term here over the next 40 hours. We'll be tracking this rain here, moving in across the northeast and a few rain showers here across portions of the south. Not really going to amount to much, that's for sure. So let's go ahead and track this in here as we go on through here, going into your Wednesday and throughout most of the day, kind of moving into Ohio and Pennsylvania with the rain there. Going into Wednesday evening, kind of wet and rainy night there, say going into areas around Pittsburgh, for example, looking a little bit wet, and we're heading over toward Altoona. And this will kind of move on off to the east. You see the frontal system, what's part of it there. There'll be a few rumbles of thunder, a little bit of snow across the Great Lakes here going into your early Thursday morning with that system. This will continue to move off toward the east, little snows across the northeast. And again, behind this, we're going to bring in some cold air behind this as we go into Thursday and Friday. As things will turn a little bit colder there with that initial cold shot. So here it comes on down. You notice we turn into a little bit of snow there across portions of, say, West Virginia. Going into a Thursday night and going into Friday morning. So that'll continue to move on off, and it will again continue with the kind of that northwesterly flow here. But the west looking pretty quiet, although we see a little bit of rains here showing up here on the end of the model there, going toward Thursday night and into Friday morning. So let's go ahead and take a look at the European model. We're going to take this all the way out here again through that period again. We're watching that one system. Here's that first cold shot coming in here across the northeast. That's cold shot number one. Bring some snows with that, although they'll be pretty limited. Here's the second system up here. You see it riding up toward the Canadian border. This is going into Friday afternoon. This again will follow the other one. And this one's a little bit deeper with the cold air. This one will press a little bit further south. So notice as we go in toward Saturday night, Sunday morning, we got the freezing line all the way down here into North Georgia. So here's our cold shot coming down here across the east once again. Staying pretty mild out here toward the west, although we got a few showers there off the California coast with an upper level feature that's going to be moving in out there. So this moves on through Sunday, staying kind of cold. Then it begins to retreat, pull on off. Then we'll have to watch the evolution of the Tuesday-Wednesday system. I think here on Tuesday, we're going to see severe weather here across portions of Arkansas, East Texas, in toward Louisiana, going into Tuesday, Wednesday. Yes, there's some snow on the backside of this as this pushes off toward the east. Right now, again, I think a marginal to slight risk on this. I don't think it's too widespread. But, of course, this is still days out. It could be updated, that's for sure. This is still day 6, day 7, and this pushes off toward the east. We'll see that moving across Alabama and Georgia. It looks like it'll be losing a little bit of its punch a little bit as we go into Wednesday, and this exits off the east coast. Again, we'll get some snows on the backside of this as the cold air comes in behind this, and then we'll watch this next system here go a little bit later in the week. So there's that first system ejecting on out. And then we'll watch the next one. Now, this next one, severe weather, appears it's going to be mostly right along the Gulf Coast. This looks like a Gulf Coast event here. Again, you see the cold air plunging in behind this one. The European model was doing something nuts yesterday, driving in some snows down into, pretty decent snows down into North Georgia and then through portions of the Smokies. It is backed off that. We got a little snow there showing up there going in towards Saturday morning. Again, this is still 10 days out, so we'll watch this closely here. But there's a cold shot coming in here and some snows across the Appalachians. Again, snow risks are increasing with these systems as they develop. We still got enough cold air in the country that if when we get these wild fluctuations of the jet stream to produce some more snow. So you get some more snows there going off the Atlantic coast once again. And then as we go toward the 9th and 10th, looks like things begin to warm up here. Look where the freezing line is going way up here toward the north. So we're going to see a big warm up here across the middle of the country as we go toward the 10th of March, as we kind of shift our attentions out toward the west coast there with that next storm system pulling on in there. And that one we'll have to watch it as it pulls inland here. And this is kind of the end of the run here. But where that jet stream was looking, as this energy pulls on out, we'll probably see some more severe weather down in there, say going into the 13th. So just kind of doing a head count there, that's at least 3 to potentially 4 severe weather events here over the next 2 weeks that need to be watched. So we're going to go ahead and focus in here on a couple of these severe weather events. We're going to be looking at the K-index. It's kind of a parameter to measure out where you're going to see thunderstorms develop. It takes kind of several variables at play and kind of shows it here graphically. So we're going to be watching this system developing here across Texas. That'll be kind of moving in across the southeast as we go here into your Tuesday and Wednesday. So as this thing moves on through, you get here by late in the day looking at some potential heavy thunderstorms here across Arkansas and into Louisiana as that index kind of spikes a little bit there. And it looks like it pushes off toward the east, although it does not appear to be quite as robust as it was looking, say, yesterday at this time. But there's still some severe weather potential going in there into Alabama, and this moves off toward the east throughout the day on Wednesday across the Florida Panhandle in through Georgia as this kind of moves on off toward the east. Then we're going to watch the next system back behind it. This one will move in right along the Gulf Coast. This one's going in toward your Thursday and into your Friday. So we'll be looking at those two regions here heading into next week. So we're talking Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then again going into Friday for potential rounds of severe weather. Let's go ahead and talk about the rain chances here. Now, one thing's for sure here on the short term, next 72 hours, not going to see a whole lot here as far as precipitation, really just mostly up there into the northeast with a couple of those cold shots. And yeah, there'll be some rain. There'll be also be a little bit of snow with this, but not a ton of it here as we go through the next 3 days. Let's go take this out to the 10-day total here and kind of see how things begin to change with that overall pattern. We start to see more and more precipitation here evolving. There's that storm system there going into Tuesday and Wednesday, bringing the rains there, and then we'll see some more right along the Gulf Coast going in toward your Friday. So you definitely see things begin to get a little wetter here across the east, as well as out here on the West Coast. We start seeing some rains down and getting into California and Southern California, thanks to that upper level system that's be driving in out there as well. And we'll go ahead and take this all the way out to the end of the model run here for the next 2 weeks. As you can see, a lot of the nation getting some sort of precipitation, especially along the West Coast and the eastern half of the United States. So let's go ahead and break down the snow totals here. Again, the next 3 days, not all that much. We're going to see just predominantly there into areas there in New England, obviously, basically 2 to 4 inches. A couple of areas there in the dark blue might get closer to 5 to 6, but generally that's where the snow's falling. Those is pretty scarce out toward the west, at least over the next 3 days. But as we go further out in time, go out to 240 out for the next 10 days, we're definitely feeling more and more of this precipitation out here. That's for sure here across the Northeast, here across the Intermountain region, coming out of Colorado and coming into Nebraska, into Kansas. We'll have to watch that here going out toward the 7th. It looks like that comes in toward the 6th and 7th there. We'll have to watch to see how that system evolves. And then we'll take this on all the way out to the end of its run here as we get a little bit of, it looks like some snows here across portions of the Smoky Mountains, and definitely heavier snows out here in California, kind of off the charts there across the Sierra Nevada, and we start filling in here across areas of the Rocky Mountains as well. So although the short term, next 3 days, looks pretty limited as far as snow, it does pick up again, though, as we progress deeper into March. Again, with that progressive pattern and the number of storm systems pick up, we still have enough cold air to give us some snow. So let's go ahead and track the cold air, and we're going to look at the temperature anomaly map. One thing's for sure for today, we're definitely seeing a much milder temperatures here in the middle of the country. That is for sure, but don't get used to it. Again, we got 2 cold shots we got to track coming in for this weekend. So as we go through this week, here comes that cold air coming into the Northeast initially here into your Friday. So here comes that Friday and Saturday dump. Kind of coming in there and going into the weekend. Notice by Sunday morning, the eastern third of the United States is seeing below normal temperatures, and it's milder out here toward the west, warmer out in the west. And then we'll go ahead and progress this forward again as we watch that next storm system going into next week. Again, we'll see some of that cold air coming out of cooler air out of the west, driving into that warmer air, and we'll have to watch that going into Tuesday and Wednesday with that severe weather risk going into your Tuesday and Wednesday. That pushes off toward the east there. So you see a bit of a cool down going into Wednesday and Thursday. Not overly dramatic, but cooling off just a little bit. Generally about 3 to 5 degrees below normal here as we go into late in the day on your Thursday. And we got a little cooler out here in the west as well. So you're going to see these natural fluctuations between these storm systems, that's for sure. And this will continue into your 7th and 8th. Got a nice little cool down here across the southeast, looking at about 6 to 8 degrees below normal there across areas from the Carolinas. And actually, this is actually closer to 10 here up to the Carolinas here. Notice it's warmer up here into the higher plains as we go toward the 8th of March. And then we'll go and take this on out. Again, that moves on out of here. We'll see things warm up once again across the middle of the country heading toward the 11th as it cools down out toward the west. And then we'll see another clash of the air masses here going into toward the 13th. That cold air comes in, mild air out ahead of it. So a very spring-like pattern, one that is very conducive to support the development for some severe weather. Now, there were some changes here on the climate outlook. I do want to go ahead and point out here the 6 to 10 day outlook here, staying on the warm side here in the east, near normal or below normal out here on the west coast. This takes us out the 3rd through the 7th, where they did modify a little bit because of those continuing shots. Remember yesterday, we were showing pretty much a warm pattern here across most of the country. I think part of the reason why they backed that off is because you had warm, and then you got a cold shot, and then you got a warm. You kind of average it out. It's near normal. So a little below normal out here on the west coast going from the 5th to the 11th. As far as the precipitation outlook, again, a very progressive pattern developing here across the country. We'll have to watch and see where those severe weather opportunities will develop, possibly 3 to 4 here over the next couple of weeks. So a very active pattern going from the 3rd to the 7th. And then here going out from the 5th to the 11th, very wet out here on the West Coast, kind of near normal, below normal high plains and into Texas, and active here along the eastern seaboard. So it looks like we're in store for what could be a turbulent March. We all remember the severe weather season we had last year. Last season was a record-breaking year for tornadoes, some 1,900 plus all-time record. We'll see if this severe weather season is going to be as robust as what we had last season. But one thing I can tell you from a meteorology standpoint, as far as what I'm seeing, as far as the evolution of the jet stream right now, is one that's conducive for multiple storms, multiple severe weather events. Now, it's just a question, well, how bad is it going to be? Well, we're really not going to know that until we're probably within 2 to 3 days of said event and we get an outlook from the Storms Prediction Center. So if you want to stay up on those ever-changing conditions, please keep it tuned right here. I'm going to give it to you straight and steady and not going to go over the top like some of those other folks out there in the YouTube universe that drive me crazy personally. But, I'll get over it. And also, I want to mention it again. If you have not gotten one of these, I'll show this once again. I always like to bring these up. Get yourself a Midland radio, folks. Good thing to have for the severe weather season. Stay prepared on that and make sure you got it ready, because it looks like we're in store for a pretty busy March, and we'll have to see how things set out for us for the month. All right, that's y'all's update for now. You guys take it easy, be good, stay safe, and if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. It'd be an honor and a pleasure to have you on board with our family. You guys take it easy, have a great day. We'll see you on the next update. Bye for now.